Coming up this morning, a tornado touches down in Pontiac last night. We have the latest for you.
Plus, crews are assessing the damage caused by the storms. We're going to have a recap of last night's severe weather ahead. And our team coverage continues this morning with a look at the storm damage right now.
That's where we find our Alyssa Paldo, who's live in Pontiac, where a tornado touched down last night. Alyssa, what are you seeing out there?
Hey guys, well yeah, we're out here on the south side of Pontiac right now in this mobile home park where as you can see behind me here, some pretty significant damage from the path of that tornado that rolled through here last night. Now I want to go ahead and show you, that's the foundation of this mobile home. It was actually ripped off of its foundation, and we'll walk you guys over this way and show you where it currently sits right now. As you can see, that mobile home is twisted and the remains of it are in the cornfield that's just behind in the backyard of this mobile home. Debris is scattered all around, and as you can see, the residents of that mobile home are trying to salvage whatever they can right now. We're going to check back in with you guys in a little bit, but for now, live in Pontiac, Alyssa Paldo, WMBD News. Back to you.
All right, Alyssa, thanks so much for that. At least 4 people are recovering from injuries after those tornadoes in Pontiac, tossing trees, debris, and damaging several buildings.
WMBD's Paul Cicchini spoke to the chief of police just hours after the storms rolled through.
We're at the corner of Illinois 116 and Deerfield Road in Pontiac, and if you take a look behind me, this is a shell station, or what's left of it. According to the chief of police, it is the worst damaged building in town, at least thus far.
It appears that the shell station here is probably the heaviest damaged building. We have some heavy damage here across the street at the BP.
Police Chief Jim Wolford providing an update on damage less than 3 hours after a tornado touched down in Pontiac. He says 10 minutes after the sirens went off, the reports of damage came in.
Knocked over one trailer there and then went down Ray Street, which is the last east-west road in town. Knocked out a lot of trees, took a roof off of a house. No injuries down there.
At least 4 people were injured, but everyone is expected to be okay.
From what I'm told, we've had 2 people taken to the hospital from the trailer that overturned. Nothing life-threatening. Maybe a semi-driver from here at the shell that may have had some shoulder injury. And then I'm told that a pedestrian may have got hit by some flying things.
Chief Wolford tells WMBD it could have been much worse.
To be honest with you, buildings can be fixed. I'm glad that I haven't been bombarded with losses of life. So the fact that we don't have any deaths out of it.
Again, to reiterate, at least 4 people were injured in these storms in Pontiac. Tornado touchdown at about 10:15. Of course, we're expecting to learn more as daylight breaks and emergency responders and cleanup crews hit the streets. For now, we are in Pontiac. Paul Cicchini, WMBD News.
Several homes in the area were damaged as well.
WMBD's Lindsay Harrison was also in Pontiac. She talked to the man who saw the trailer that Alyssa Paldo was talking about be picked up by the storm.
We're here in Pontiac. We're right behind me. There is a trailer that was actually picked up and tossed by the tornado last night. Now, there were people in this trailer when it was picked up by the tornado. A man who lives across the street came out after it passed through to make sure everyone was okay and ended up saving the people inside.
My wife says, you need to take shelter. She looked out the window. She says she's seen the trailer get lifted up, spun around, and thrown. We didn't know if the people were in the house at the time. I got my sandals on, I came out and started screaming, and then I heard the lady, which her name is Rachel, she was in the trailer. I called 911, and I went and helped her and her kids out, brought the kids into the trailer. I just hope they're okay.
Now, this trailer was the main source of damage at Sterling Estates, but there have been more reports of damage throughout the city of Pontiac. Emergency crews were on standby all night at several command centers, including the former Kmart building, ready to go at a moment's notice. We'll keep you updated. In Pontiac, Lindsay Harrison, WMBD News.
We're seeing the most damage this morning on the south and west sides of Pontiac.
Our Dan Malloy spoke with a family on Countryside Lane that said there was nothing they could do when the tornado went directly over their house.
You feel that vacuum, that pressure in your ears, and you knew what it was.
Last night, John Johnson wanted to hear his wife talk about her trip to Wednesday's Cubs game, but they wound up taking cover beneath an overturned couch in the hallway.
It was a feeling I didn't even know how to describe. When you see curtains off the curtain rod and just papers everywhere, and
Windows
it's just
blown in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
windows gone.
Huddled with her husband, son, and 2 dogs, Anita says they prayed for their safety.
We could hear the debris start to fly,
Breaking glass.
and we hunkered down in there, and it was a matter of 4 seconds, and it was over.
When the debris came to rest, the Johnsons took a look outside. The yard even messier than the house.
We uncovered ourselves and looked around. Of course, the house was shambles. There's stuff everywhere in the house.
How old is that tree?
That one?
Yeah.
Long before we were here. It was a beautiful linden tree.
No tree left untouched. The top of the trees all gone. The Johnsons say they're thankful the tornado went over the house rather than through it.
Lots of firewood next season. I think of the folks in Washington and all these other towns that get hit, and we were blessed. I mean, they lost everything. We've still got our house. Trees, you can grow trees.
All the pets.
But we've got ourselves.
2 cats, 2 dogs.
Yeah, we have ourselves and we have our pets.
The Johnsons say in those chaotic 3 or 4 seconds last night, they understood the one thing that truly matters is family. In Pontiac, Dan Malloy, WMBD News.
And our team coverage continues this morning with Chief Meteorologist Chris Yates. And Chris, we just saw some of those powerful images of trailers thrown from their foundation, trees uplifted and uprooted. And you have a report on multiple reports of tornadoes from last night.
That's right. There were a lot of tornadoes reported. How many officially touched down is yet to be confirmed. We hope to find that out a little later on this afternoon. But certainly those pictures really kind of bring a little bit more realism to it, especially once the sun now begins to shine and we begin to see exactly what damage occurred in Pontiac. Let's begin to break down everything as we go through the rest. We'll show you exactly what happened as these storms began to fire up shortly around 7 p.m. We started getting these clusters of storms developing north of Interstate 80, and they began to drop numerous tornadoes across Bureau, parts of LaSalle counties, and then by 10 p.m. that tornado risk gradually shifted its way further south straight into Livingston County, and of course the next location in line would be the Pontiac area. Here's the supercell as it began to work its way towards Pontiac. You can see the heavier hail core, strong winds. I know when I was covering this live last night, we mapped out a 3-dimensional image of the storm. Storm tops were exceeding 60,000 feet, so a pretty sign of a nice healthy updraft there. And you can see what we call that well-defined hook echo. That's where the rotation was within the thunderstorm, and where eventually we would see that tornado develop. It would develop just northwest of Pontiac. Reports coming in through Pontiac. Pontiac lost power as the storm began to move through parts of town, taking out power lines. The good news, if we're looking for any positive light here, is that the storm missed the heart of Pontiac as far as the tornado. It went to the south and west side of town before hooking back to the south and east. But that's not where the storm ended. It continued to push off to the southeast and had 2 more tornadoes, or at least 1 tornado, possibly 2, out near the Chatsworth area. Now, more storm reports as we show you. It wasn't just all about tornadoes. We also had some wind damage reports across Bureau County. We'll highlight one particular report here, semi on its side between Princeton and Dover. That happened at 8:32. A common report from storms yesterday were numerous trees down, but also several cornfields being flattened by damaging winds in excess of 70 miles per hour. An estimated time frame here at 9:05 near Granville. Several power lines were knocked down. Trees were also blowing down. This is the same storm, by the way, that would go on to produce a tornado out near Pontiac. And at the time of the tornado in Pontiac, which touched down just at 10:15 to the northwest side of town, we also were reporting wind gusts at the Pontiac airport of 68 miles per hour. And Alyssa Paldo just showed you some of the live pictures, and if you missed it, here's one still image of what is left of that trailer that had gotten tossed and thrown out into a field. So certainly some significant damage. And really, when the light is finally shining, you really begin to see just how much damage there really was. Now, Chatsworth also had a few tornadoes reported just to the east of Forest, but also another one just to the north side of town. So the storms quickly racing their way through central Illinois last night. Storm threat officially ended after 1 o'clock in the morning once the severe storms moved on out, and things were pretty quiet from there on out. Now, thankfully, did not get into more populated areas. Pontiac getting hit the hardest, at least in our viewing area, and thankfully they kind of missed out on the brunt of the impact of those on the southwest side of town. Still are going to have a bit of a bit of a road to travel to get to that to recover.
Absolutely. I'm glad you showed the images from Melissa earlier in case you missed those at the live report. She's basically sort of near where that path went through. You could kind of clearly see where the tornado moved through, especially with the corn and everything just sort of flattened in its path.
That's right.
All right, Chris, well, thanks so much. We have more live reports coming up. But first, the budget deadline is fast approaching, and Governor Rauner is voicing his concerns.
Plus, former House Speaker Dennis Hastert starts his 15-month prison sentence.
You're watching WMBD This Morning in high definition with Clay Gordon, Lindsay Mills, and meteorologist Lauren Winson with your local weather authority forecast. This is WMBD This Morning. Central Illinois proud.